Without further ado, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Dimple and welcome her to the Nomadic Network. We're really excited to have her back. This is actually not her first event, so there's a reason that we brought her back. Dimple is a passionate creative with so many talents. She's a free spirit who dances professionally and spreads her wings as a traveler, content creator, and social media manager. Right now, she's currently back in her hometown of Mumbai, India, which is where she's joining us from today. But she has spent some of her past living and traveling in the UK. She's also explored quite a few other European countries in the past few years. She started her career as a dancer, and through that, she found her love for travel. So now she has curated a creative path to enjoy the best of both worlds and live her potential life in alignment with her goals. She shares her motto of living life in your own way. And I don't know about you, but that's something that I can definitely resonate with. So thank you, Dimple, for that. She also helps creatives and artists explore themselves through dance and helps travelers see the world in a different way, while finding ways to be more affordable and finding passion. Today, she's going to teach us how we can do that by sharing her tips and knowledge on how to live slow and travel through the UK. Dimple, we're very excited to welcome you back for another event. So if you could please take it away and share your experience with us.
Okay. Am I pinned? Sorry. It's been so long. Hi everyone. It's lovely to see you all
I
here.
can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay, perfect. We all can hear me, right? I can see Brina's face. Very happy to see you back again. Thank you. Yeah, if y'all can just like turn on your cameras would be amazing because otherwise I'm just staring into the frame looking at your names. I would love to put some faces to the beautiful names out here. Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna start screen sharing. Let's see, where are we? Screen share and yeah, there we go. Can we all see that? Perfect. Okay, awesome. So that's me in my most favorite place. If you'd seen the recent takeover, I was drooling over Bath, and that's a picture from Bath. So before we begin, how about y'all drop a few answers for me? If you've been to the UK, when and where? If you were to go to the UK, what's on the top of your list? And what's the question that you came with to this event for today? Yeah, let me know in the comments. Perfect. Okay. Sweet. And my screen sharing has stopped or not? Not. Okay, cool. So as you all type in, I'll just start introducing myself a bit. You can read it. I'm a little bit crazy. They call me a wild child. My mom always calls me that. She's like, "You're the black sheep." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." But that's had its pros and cons, you know? And the pros are literally me doing, like I said, live life in your own way. So that's taken me a lot around the globe. And I'm very, very grateful to have that quirk, which I can channel into living my passions. So, yeah, a little bit about me. I'm Indian on the passport, but very global in the mindset. I was just discussing it with a friend. And my first international trip happened when I was in 2018 or 2019. It was like a dance trip, and I crowdfunded it. And I'm so grateful for people like you who believed in me to take my step further into pursuing my passions. Yeah. And I don't know if y'all know Ava. She's also a very big part of the TNN community. And we both kind of got talking on about how we've recently been catching flights with feelings. So that's literally how my journey to the UK started. So I'm going to tell you a bit about that journey as to how I ended up being in the UK first before I drop all the tea for y'all. So I'm sorry, I'm just so excited to be back here. I thought I'll be calm and composed. And I was just talking to Talia before y'all popped up. And I was like, okay, I'm like super hyped now. So yeah, take the energy, enjoy this. It's the show. Take it all in. How it all started. So I was traveling Europe for the second time. And a bunch of my friends decided to take a trip out there. And we were like, cool, we'll just, match up together and see each other there. It became like from me going from a solo trip, it became into like a full on group trip. We got an Airbnb down and I was together with one of my close friends. And he was like, you know what, like I have someone for you. And I'm like, what do you mean you have someone for me? And he's like, just like wipe it out and check it out. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, come on, I'm in Europe. I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to enjoy my present moment. And, things had a flow, vibe with someone. And then we were like, yeah, okay, whatever. This is like a European affair. We'll leave it at that. But little did I know that affair was going to turn into a proper full-blown relationship. And that's exactly how I was very interestingly manipulated to get to the UK. Like before that, UK was never on my radar, especially because I come from India. Growing up, we learn a lot about, how we were taken over by the British Raj and they did this to us and that to us and all that full-on political drama. And it just keeps you at the back of the head. But somehow it did not matter anymore. And I was like, okay, UK, here I come. And that's how from India to Berlin to UK happened. And I'm so grateful, regardless of the fact that I'm not seeing my ex-partner anymore. I'm so grateful that it happened because it gave me 3 years of opening my mind and traveling to places I never knew that existed. So let's begin. How exactly did I travel to the UK? Now, this is a question most people ask me, considering, like Talia was saying, it's such an expensive place. I have one answer for you all. All in the mindset, all in the mindset, all in the mindset. If you have somewhere to be, you figure it out. You got to do what you got to do. And that's how you land up being there. So I feel like most of y'all have very strong passports compared to my beautiful Indian passport. So it was a bit of a tricky situation. So if you are someone who does not have a strong passport, let me tell you, it's doable. It's completely doable. You just need to check in with your visa and how does it work. We had a 6-month, 5-year, and 2-year validity of a British visa. And I decided to make sure I take the initial 6-month visa and fully use it, like take it all in. So I took 3 trips between the span of 2019 and 2022, where I stayed for like 3 to 4 months, then full-blown 6 months, full-blown 6 months. Now, you're not idly supposed to say this, but I was not supposed to actually use the entire 6 months because on my validity, it said I'm applying for a month. But hey, I get the full visa, unlike Schengen, which has dates. So I was like, I have full substance waiting for me. I'm going to use it. So be smart, of course. See what kind of validity you have with your passport. Be smart. It's all on you. You just got the tea from me, but not from me. If there are any legals, I did not say this. Yeah. Okay. So next part. Mainly, I traveled during the pandemic, and it had its pros and cons because things were shut quite a bit during a particular span. UK had this system where, you could go out in your support bubble or in by yourself. So it's either your support bubble of 2, 6 people or it's just you. But they allowed people to step out into nature. And that was my second trip. When I was back in the UK for the second time, my major span was spent in the lockdown. But because I had the liberty to step out into nature, I made sure to travel as much as possible. So the things were kind of in between. So that's when I explored a lot of Bath, Manchester, York, South of England, because I had the ability to travel further out without staying in restrictions just the way it was. But when I came back again, the last trip that I took, I was mainly divided between 2 base cities, which was Leeds and London. So if y'all have questions about Leeds and London, I have too much on it and we can speak about it post, or you can drop some questions in the chat box. Yeah. As Talia was also mentioning about me, I'm also a professional movement dance artist. So my time spent was in the UK in this 1.5 years was a lot between traveling, chilling, meeting with my friends and my partner, and dancing and exploring the professional dance industry out there. So that's why I feel like I got a lot of juice of the entire country. And I couldn't have done it if I did not have the support of my partner and friends. And these are some of these friends were basically the friends I made there. So, sometimes when we like sit back and think, oh, I don't know anybody in a country, you go there, you make friends, and then suddenly doors open up for you. And that's exactly what happened with me. So again, just travel and things will happen if you're just going in with an open mind, diving in, keeping it flexible, adaptable, being okay with saying no, being okay with sacrificing up and down. You just gotta go. So that's that. Wait, last point. Financially, like Erica really put it nicely. My every month average was like 400 pounds. And when I like totaled it, when I initially sent the mail to them, I had totaled it up and I was like, okay, this. But then when Erica like averaged it for me, I was like, oh, that's good. I did a really good job in this. So yeah, so that was that. Now let's dig in to the main tips behind accommodation, because UK accommodation is highly expensive, right? So first of all, like I said, reach out to friends, family, their connections, because you never know who has an open mindset and who is more welcoming. They will always be like, okay, you want something, you need help, you need to crash on my couch, you're more than welcome. You never know. People are open, we cannot always just sit back from the idea of, am I going to be a burden on someone? Am I going to like hinder someone's life? No, you let them know this is what you need. If they're okay with that, they can help you out, and then help out with chores and like little things that they need. Make food for them, especially if you're coming from a different country. You have your skills, share that with them. That's that. My favorite way of traveling and getting accommodation is cloud surfing. If you all have tried couch surfing before, you know what it is. If you haven't, it's basically you connect up with a like-minded traveler and you just crash on their couch. As simple as it is. Of course, you follow an etiquette in their house, you respect their space, their time, and everything. And the least you can do is just be yourself and share your travel journeys with them. It's as simple as that. And I have used couchsurfing twice to stay in different places, and both these experiences are experiences I'll never forget in my life. Like the very first one led me to this village in Prague called Brno. Not a village close to Brno. And I ended up being in a family's niece's baptism in the middle of nowhere. I'm the only one dressed as an Indian. And everyone's like, who's this girl? And they don't even speak English. But because I was with a couch surfer, they were just like, okay, she's your friend. And I just got a deep dive into the most local culture possible. So try couch surfing. People are very welcoming. Connect up with the right people, you know it. If you have TNN friends around the world, come on, just ping them. Like, yeah, there are many other groups out there as well, like Host a Sister. There are many Facebook groups, you can try that. TNN also does a lot of house sitting, pet sitting, and volunteering webinars. So you can dive into those and make sure you use them, because these are some really good ways to pay yearly membership, which is like so minimal, and then just stay in long periods, taking care of someone's house and pets and everything. If you're a creator influencer, get on it. Get on it. You can send out emails and people respond. Doesn't matter how low, big, small. If you have quality to offer, if you have value to offer, you will get a gig. So think about that. Now, what really helped me was us in the UK, I would take day trips. So like I said, my base was Leeds or London. I would take day trips from Leeds to surrounding vicinities like to York, to Manchester, to other areas more in the outskirts, more naturally based things. And when I was in London, I would take day trips to other places from London. So try picking a base which serves as a cheap accommodation area, and then take day trips from that. I would highly advise that, because I saved so much money. I might have spent a bit on travel, but at the end, accommodation is the most expensive in the UK. So you can spend a little on travel and save up on that accommodation bit. consider traveling overnight. Now, everyone has different preferences, but it really helps you save. If you're traveling on a train, I mean, I'm short and tiny, so I can just lie in a train seat. I can just take two seats and like spread myself out, and it's cool for me. I remember my partner used to take a lot of overnight buses when he traveled from destination A to B, which again helps save accommodation. You get sleep, you're not missing out on the day. It all works out. If you're trying to live long term in the UK, I can give you a rough approximate of rent rates for two major cities, Leeds and London. And I think this is the average for major cities across the UK. Now, London cost can be extremely expensive. It can go like anything decent can start at £800 for a room in a shared house. That's ridiculously expensive. And I mean, someone can maybe like translate that into US dollars. I'm better with pounds, so I'm going to speak in pounds. And the other bit is Leeds. Now, Leeds, you could do a shared house, a shared house, probably for like $400. And I'm speaking with bills, gas, water, everything. So if you see, there's like a massive gap. So yeah, London's crazy expensive. So this is just like a rough approximate of cities. I don't know about the rural areas, but if you want, I can get you in touch with my friends who are like all over the UK. Next thing, hostels are usually like the budget traveler go-getter things, right? But what I found out in the UK was hostels worked cheaper and convenient when it came to mainstream cities. But if you go in outskirts, if you go to a place like Bath or Weymouth, or let's say, what else can I say? York, or maybe the Lake District, it's easier to find more cheaper options with Airbnbs. And especially if you're staying for a longer duration, Airbnb does like a weekly discount or a 3-day discount even. I know the prices with their services are skyrocketing at the moment, but it somehow still works out cheaper if you really, really research and find. So if you see this little picture on the left that you're seeing, this was like my space in York. And I spent like 30 quid for a night between two people. So I paid £15 and my partner paid 15. And for the space that this was, it was close by in the vicinity of York. It was outside the walled city, and it had a backyard. It had a really beautiful bathtub and bathroom. I love those. So I was just like the happiest child. And I'm getting everything in like 15 to 30 quid. Are you kidding me? And it had like beautiful little cats. So I was just like, this is dream. But in the same vicinity, there were other places which were like starting at 60 quids. Basically, dig, research. You'll find a place. You will. I guarantee you that. So stick with that. Hotels get really expensive. And even like, what are these called? Shepherd huts, or like these are like very typical based to the UK. Like it's either the canal boats or the shepherd huts where you stay and spend a night. It's very exclusive. It's very romanticized in the UK manner. You can try those, but they do turn out to be expensive. But if you want to splurge a bit, please do. It's an experience. It definitely is. So again, any budget accommodation questions, drop them in the chat. So this boat that you see is what happened because of couch surfing. And I stayed there with the Swan, of course. This was based, where was this? This was in Canary Wharf in London. And trust me, the entire time that I was in the UK, I kept, wanting to live in a houseboat because it's such a fascination. Because every time you pass a canal, you see people living in the houseboats. And I was just like, I want to see how that feels. But every time I would go on Airbnb, it would be like so expensive. And I was just like, maybe not. Maybe it's not written in the books or whatever. And then I end up meeting a couch surfer and boom, she's like, oh, you're more than welcome to stay with me in my houseboat. And when I entered this houseboat, it was adorable. And I had like an adorable gift with me as well, because the boat came with, of course, the vicinity of posh London, but it came with a little doggo called Bear. And that was the cutest. And I was just like, okay, this this sounds like the perfect, full circle moment of I really wanted to, but somehow I didn't have to pay for it, but I found it in another way. So all I'm saying is keep those mindsets open and just reach out to people. You never know. The other favorite stay, I have very interestingly forgotten to put a picture of it, but it's this hostel in Edinburgh. It's called Castle Rock, which is situated right next to the Edinburgh Castle. And oh my gosh, it's the best hostel I've ever stayed in. It doesn't matter if you're young, old, what age, it's a vibe for everyone. It's a wholesome mood. They have single rooms, they have double rooms, they have bunk beds. And just like they have like a lounge area, which just makes you feel like you're back in the era, in the Edinburgh era. And they have like a huge kitchen, which stores so many things so you can cook there. They have a film room. They have many more other activities that they do. They have free tours. And it was just the best hostel that I've ever found. So again, it's called Castle Rock. It's in Edinburgh and a very good location again. So yeah, tune that in, note that because you will love it. That's that. So now next, before we move on, I can't possibly skim 1.5 years into 1 hour, but I want you to take a lead and tell me which place should I begin with. So you can see there are different places. I've not named them, but I would like you to tell me A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Where should I begin my talk with? I want you to take a call on this. So drop your options in the chat. Oh, lovely. Oh my God. D, G, D, A, H. It's gonna be tricky. Come on, bring those votes in. I'm waiting. H, G, H, A, H, G. Okay. Okay. So it's a big between G and an H. Oh my God, I love that. I'm going to start with G then. A lesser known gem, right? Okay, let's forward you all to that. If my computer decides to work, perfect. No, that's not it. There we go. So this place is Jurassic Coast and Weymouth. Now, it's not a fossil-based place. I think there are fossils, but I'm not sure. But when I went there, I found none. It's basically a coastal area and a coastal town in the south of England. I think it's more directly down from the Stonehenge area, if I'm not mistaken. Geography is a bit all over the place, so please excuse me on that. But basically, Weymouth is a coastal town, and Britain has a lot of these little coastal towns, but not every place is like popular, And Weymouth is like a gem because Weymouth serves as a base for you to explore a lot of the surrounding areas. And it also connects to this place called the Isle and Royal Manor of Portland, which is a beautiful island filled with so many amazing, huge ships. Like when we walked into that place, I was just like, I have never seen so many ships in one place. Never have I ever seen a ship parking before and boats parking before. Like these 7-story, 8-story high rises places just filled with boats parked on it. And I was just like, where am I? And basically, if you see on the left and the beneath corner, this little curve that you can see, it's called the Lulworth Curve. The above picture, the one with the little moon, that's the Weymouth seashore line. Right is the Jurassic Coast Portland, Isle of Portland, and the right below one, where you see distinctly 2 different kinds of waves in the ocean, that's the pier of Weymouth. So why is this a lesser known gem? Because mainly most people don't know about it, which is why it is. And it's just beautiful. There's lots of hiking to do. And the water, I kid you not, I've never seen such clean, pure, cold, freezingly cold, but so blue water ever before. And that's what surprised me. So when I went there and I spoke to my friends about it, who stay and are native to England, they're like, where is this place? And I'm just like, how do you not know? Like, it's so famous. One of the famous destinations, though, on this coast is the Durdle Door. So if you've seen one of those really famous pictures which like curves, and then you'll see this naturally beautifully stoned how do you say, rock, and then you'll see a curve in the rock which is just like a door. I'm sorry, I didn't put up a picture of that. I should have done that, but hey ho, you'll find it. Just Google it. It's called Durdle Door, and Durdle Door is a very famous spot for people to come at. But then when they come there, they don't stop around and look around in the nearby vicinity, which is where you'll find all of these places. And it was just insane. I did like a 25-kilometer walk from the seashore of Weymouth till the Isle of Portland. 25-kilometer of walking along the coastline, backside cliffs of private property, like I said, wild child, right? So intense. And I cannot forget the air, the space. It's still there. It's alive in me, you know. So I would highly suggest, please go here. Also, drink a slushy. It's cold, doesn't matter. Drink a slushy in that cold and take a walk. It's beautiful. You will not regret it. It's so serene. So that's one. Now, most of y'all said about the other hidden gem. That's Cornwall. Now, sadly, I did not end up going there, but it is another beautiful place in the southmost of England. And again, people in the UK do not know about it somehow. Like so many natives, so many of my friends did not know. And I was so shocked because I was like, it's a place of beauty. You will not feel like you're in England, because England is known for its gray skies, red homes, dull weather. But when you see pictures like these, I'm sure I'm giving you a different look to England, because it definitely has so much more to offer, which is why when people talk about the UK, I'm like, London and Manchester and Liverpool are not the end of it. Please open your horizons, because there's so much beauty in this place. So Cornwall, again, like I said, it's in the southmost of England. It's a bit far to travel to, so you really need to plan about it. But there are, again, amazing spots here. There's a lot of surf adventures that happen here because apparently the waves are really good. So if you're a surfer, if you're interested in that, and like from what I understood from the locals and whoever I spoke with, it's more of a chill town, drink, relax at the beach, take in the waves, take in the nature, hike, sort of that vibe. So definitely on my list. Sadly, I did not make it because it was far and it was getting too expensive for me. I'm going to take it backwards. Manchester. This place is the one for music lovers. So when I went to Manny, I had heard about Matt and Fred's so much, but Matt and Fred's is not the only place. There are like tons of mini bars and venues where you'll just see people performing at every possible day. And some of these gigs are free. So you really just walk into the city and be like, I'm going to have a day out of it. And you just walk by, you take in the tram, you take in the architecture, you take in all this graffiti and artwork that's there. Like you'll find a lot of artwork in Manchester. And then you just like walk into any random bar and it's like, let's enjoy this mood, you know? So that's Manny. Leeds, like I said, this is where I stayed. Leeds is kind of a student / industrial town. So you'll see a lot of students and a lot of families. And it has like this little city center. And this, which image is this? Yeah, sorry. The right down one, the one with the buildings with the little sun coming up from behind, that's part of the city center. And it's just gorgeous. Yeah, Leeds is pretty much just a city. You enjoy, vibe it out, go for a day. If you have young friends, old friends, whatever, come back. There are places around Leeds though, like the Kirkstall Abbey. So if you're into a lot of historic things, there's Kirkstall Abbey. There are a few estates that you can check out a little north of Leeds in Harrogate. And what else is there? You have a few reservoirs to check out as well. So that's interesting if you're into nature and stuff. But if you're into like a lot of food scene, Leeds is the really good place to be in, and even Manchester. And definitely if you're in Leeds, you have to visit this place called Belgrave's. It's kind of a pub, live venue gig, but serves the best loaded fries. Hit me up, I'll tell you where it is. Know what's next. I think this one is very popular amongst everyone. I did have a bit of a weird take with Edinburgh because people really hype it up. But when I went there, it was raining, it was gloomy every day. And I went there, interestingly, right after my breakup. So I was in a mood to be like, get me more cheerful. But Edinburgh did not help at all. So I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll just take it in. So maybe it was my space as well. But overall, the city is quite jolly. You'll interact with anyone, and it's unlike London and other cities where people will just walk past you with straight faces. People here really like to talk, enjoy. The only thing to be careful about is really listen, because Scots have a very interesting accent. I have a Scottish friend, and every time he speaks, I look at his mouth and I'm like, is that English? And my friends just laugh. So just get used to it and like hear a little bit of Scottish before you head there. So you'll be more familiar with what you're getting into. But apart from that, again, great sights. The bottommost right, yeah, that's right picture where I'm, like kind of going into a stance. That's Dean Village. And mind you, it's the most mesmerizing place that I have come across on earth after Bath. But yes, it's so brilliantly well kept and nurtured, and at the same time it's wild. It's like a proper place to like live in. I almost was like, okay, let's check out the real estate value just for fun. And then I was like, let's not, because I saw it and I was like, way out of my radar, move on. Yeah, again, pretty city, enjoy. You can take Edinburgh as a good base to explore Scotland, definitely, or Glasgow even. York, it's a wall city. The walls that were built, I'm forgetting, but I think it's the Roman walls. I'm not a history buff, so please excuse me if that's wrong. But York is basically a bit of city formed within the walls and outside the walls. So they still have those walls that are like fort structures which were created back in the era to keep it walled, Like I said, not a history buff. Please don't judge. But it has, again, beautiful architecture. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you will find amazing shops out here that are just like crazy gaga on Harry Potter and all of that. Beautiful place. You can take a day trip here and just explore, walk around. Very small city. I'll come back to that. I'll come back to this first. So, yeah, okay, Bath. Drool over it 10 million times. I can keep drooling over it, but it's so gorgeous. It's the Georgian architecture, it's still intact, which is what is amazing. Because if you see the first picture on the left where the moon is there, if you see the glow of the the moon on the walls, it feels a certain way in the picture, but when you're standing there in person, you just hit with a different air. It's a city based kind of inside of a valley, like not exactly in a valley, but it's covered, it's surrounded in a valley-like atmosphere. So it's always cool, it's breezy, it's naturally lush. It's on the edge of Somerset, which is a quite popular destination again. It's like a big region. So that's Bath. And Bath serves as one of the most interesting spa cities of the UK. They have the Roman baths, of course, which you can't swim in anymore because of the toxicity, but you can take a tour of the place. But then you have the Thermi Bath Spa, which is where you see me laughing and giggling with my happiest heart on the rooftop pool. They have like a underground pool, which is like hot and steamy and sauna. And then you have the rooftop pool. And the rooftop pool is such a treat because you're just there enjoying your pool vibes and just looking around at the city. And you look up and there's blue skies. And you just look around, you see green and golden, green and golden. And I'm convinced that this place is going to be one of my vacation houses. So that's the effect of Bath on me. Let's go to London. Everyone knows about London. It's expensive. It is expensive. If I spent my most expenses, this is where I spent it. And it's quite huge. So if you just want to take in London at a slow pace, you might as well just like stay there for 2-3 months and explore. It's not everyone's vibe. When I went there for the first time, I was like, please take me out of this chaos. It's a mess. But it's a city that grows on you for its own reasons. And by the third trip, I was convinced that if I were to move to the UK, I would like to live in London. Like, at this place in my life, So I'm just gonna like give you a few places out here. If you want, you can take a picture, snap it, write it down. But I'm gonna just mention this one place, actually two, that I really love in London, which only the locals know about, or the more like you'll see tourists in these places, but it's rare in intensity of tourists. It's more of a local scene as well. So the first one that I want to say is Richmond Park. It's a gorgeous natural reserve on the outskirts, which is why people don't travel that far so often, because it's in like zone 3, zone 4. Takes you a while to get there. But when you go there, you basically saying hi to the deers right next to you. You're saying hi to all the animals, just like they're like curling up into your spaces. You're getting into like these places which have like full blown spring flowers. It's just a gorgeous, long, big natural reserve. The second place that I want to speak about is okay, I'll go with this. The Lady's Cafe in Lewisham. Now, London is already known for like 10 million things that it's good at. But this is a little cafe in a very local nook of London. And it's the cutest cafe, and it transports you back into Paris. I've never been to Paris, but that's what it feels. All my friends who came there, they were like, this feels like I'm in Paris all of a sudden. Like you just sit there with your coffee and just like looking around and just like taking a sip, you're doing your work, and you forget for a second that you're in London, because London can be so hustling, bustling. This nook was my spot for like 2 months. I would just go up every day because my friends stayed there, and I stayed with my friend. I would just go up every day, do my work, come back. And I was like, this is like, this is the good life. This is the good London life. So take a picture. I can send this to you later if you need. So that's about these places. There are some other places that I'd like to mention. Again, take a picture. One of the most interesting places that I found out about was Tresco, which is in the Isles of Sicily, which is way further down of even Cornwall. My couch surfer host, Jennifer, she introduced me to it, and she was like, if you go to Tresco, you will feel like you're in the Caribbean, you're not in the UK. So if you want like an extra trip a bit out of the UK, this is your place. Next one, again, unique things to see and do. Please take a picture. I can't probably speak about all of them right now. My favorite out here was to go and see the Northern Lights and Carnarvon National Park. So we all know Northern Lights can be seen in multiple parts of Europe, but even from Scotland, you can make a trip and see the Northern Lights. So we really planned to see the lights from there, but then it just became a really far-fetched trip, and we had other things to do in life, unfortunately. So we could never make it there. But it's one of those parks which has like what do you say, the clear sky, night sky parks, like the governments that put like a stamp on them and say like, oh, these are our parks where you can see the Milky Way and stuff like that. So it's one of those parks. And yeah, so again, take it in, take a picture. I can drop this to you later, and have a slushie while you're there, wherever you are. Okay, so the next bit, public transport is the win. If you can drive, you're lucky. I would highly suggest drive, because the remote locations and especially the national parks of the UK can be conveniently, comfortably done if you know how to drive, because you can then stop, take your own pace, and explore a place. So if you drive, camp it out. There are lots of camping points where you can camp your cars. And yeah, okay, the trains. So the train system is pretty much sorted. I don't have much idea about Wales, because I mainly went around in Scotland and England. So we'll leave Wales aside. But apart from that, the UK has a really good train system and coaches, or if you call them buses, we call them buses. So that's that. With a train line rail card, you can purchase a 30 £30 for a year. Yeah, that's what it is. And you can then travel 1/3 cheaper. And I only got introduced to this little advice in my third trip to the UK. And I had already spent so much money on trains before that I was like, how did I not know about this before? Because when I had it on my third trip, I saved so much money. My trips became as cheap as the buses. So if you are that person who will contemplate whether to take a bus or a train, and if you think a train is expensive, then take this card. You will make those 30 pounds in no time, and you'll be able to take more comfortable trips. So use that, the train line rail card. Yeah. And the good part about it is, like, sometimes they open up very cheap slots towards the end. So I had to take my trip from Leeds to Edinburgh, and it costed me £6 only. And I was shocked that just not even 24 hours were left, but I still could manage such a cheap trip because it was a very spontaneous decision. I was like, you know what? I need a refreshment. I'm going to go travel somewhere. And I was like, is there a cheap ticket? I saw it, got it, booked it, went. So keep an eye out for the 24-hour window. Coaches rock. National Express is everyone's favorite out there. Megabus has the reputation of bad service, but if you have no option, you can definitely take that. If you've been to Europe, you would be very familiar with Flixbus. Now, Flixbus is also has been introduced in the UK. So check them out. They're kind of new in the UK, so people are still getting used to them. But it is what it is. Flixbus from the Europe has come to the UK, and it's really cheap. And again, they are operating on several of the main routes. So you can keep the reputation of that and go forward with that. Like I said, drive. If I'm missing anything, I have to tell you all. So there was this once, I was traveling from Leeds to London, which it can be about a 4 to 5 hour bus drive, like a coach drive. And in train, it can be like a 2 or a 3 hour train ride. And trains can cost, minimum of like £15 on that journey. And buses start somewhere around like 6. I got lucky once, like really lucky. And I got a bus for like 90 cents. I'm not kidding. 90 cents for a 4 to 5 hour drive from Leeds to London. 90 cents. And I was like mind blowing that, I got like a good deal. So keep an eye out. There is magic somewhere in the algorithm. It will happen. You'll come across cheap deals and you'll be surprised and be like, and it's funny because when you get down to London, you have to go from one underground station to the other, and it costs you at least £2. And I was just like, I made a whole journey in 90p. What? So yeah, keep an eye out, definitely. If you're in London, the underground system works amazingly. By this point, the Oyster is as good. Sorry, your credit card is as good as the Oyster card. Yeah, because they have made up new systems, so you can easily ditch the Oyster if you're just traveling in the underground. If you want to use the Oyster, it has other perks for like tourist attraction discounts and stuff like that. But if you're just traveling the underground in London, your credit card is as good to go. You can just tap it. You can tap it on the London buses as well. It's quite convenient. If I'm not mistaken, before the hike went up, you can travel London in the buses for like 1.80 quid. And I think the prices for the underground has gone up to 3 quid. Yeah. Just random details if you need to know. Food. It's a very interesting country. You will have potatoes a lot. So indulge in them. The chips, fish and chips. If you're a vegan, I get that. If you're vegetarian, I get that. But if you're someone who's open to trying food in the new place, fish and chips, especially in a coastal town of England. That's the tea. You have to try it. It's delicious. Loaded fries. Nowhere in the world have I tried loaded fries the way UK does. They just like have these fried fries and fries, yeah, the same thing. And then you just top it up with different sauces and veggies and things, and then you like mix it up and eat, and you're just like hogging it because it's so delicious. So try that. Mash. Like I said, potato. They all love potato. Try the mash. Scottish whiskey. You have to give it a go. And I don't drink that much. I'm not a whiskey fan because it's too hot for me. But when I tried that, I was like, okay, this is good. Like, you can enjoy it. So, like, little tidbits. But overall, the food scene is quite solid. If you're a vegan, there are like multiple vegan joints coming up. And especially in the big cities, like you're spoiled by options. That's all I want to say. There's food pop-ups, food markets, Michelin star restaurants, bougie restaurants. You got all the what do you say, theme-based restaurants, like unique things which make a dining experience a whole new level experience. There's ton to explore, especially if you're in London, Manchester, Leeds. When you go into supermarkets, Aldi is your saver. Sainsbury, Tesco are kind of the mid-level grocery stores. And Morrison's is the high-end supermarket where you're like, oh, I'm going to splurge a bit, even though it's just grocery, you know. So yeah, but if you'll get different treats in these places, so do indulge in these supermarkets because they have some unique things for you to try. So make a lot of food because that's what I did. I made a lot of food. If you're staying in a place for a year and a half, you cannot expect to splurge every day. Make food. Make your friends make you food, but make food. So that's the big thing. Okay, before I move on to my final tips, I want you to start asking me questions. So anyone has any questions after my beautiful TED talk, please drop them now. And Talia, let me know because there's a lot of comments out here. Yeah, okay. How do I get this open? Questions. Okay, I'm gonna just scan through if anyone has any questions from above as well. Oh, some of you studied in the UK and are going back again as well. That's lovely. Public transport, one village to the next. Okay, I'll get to that. Cotswold. I love Cotswold. Okay. Questions. What was Edge location? Sorry, what was Edge location? Let me see. Let me find out for you. Where are we? Edge was Cornwall. Edge was Cornwall. Okay. Where did I go? What's the next question? Let's see. What's the biggest difference or similarity you found between India and the UK? Oh my God. I'm on spot. Biggest difference would be when I walk in India, when I'm stepping out on the streets, if I pass someone, I'll smile and they'll smile back at me. And it's very like welcoming. It feels very like you can interact with the person. But when you walk down in London, I feel like the weather's to blame. But at times people just look at you like straight face and just walk past you as if like you don't even exist. So I found that a bit like, because if you can sense it from me, I'm usually here. I'm usually like smiling. I'm talking to people in my own ways, and I'm always on this energy. So for me, it was a bit of a like I had to mellow it down and approach people because people are a bit reserved at times. But then again, depending on who you connect up with, because a lot of my London crowd was artists, musicians, dancers, painters, stuff like that. I had a jolly time because it was a very mixed up cultural crowd. So with that, I got to like interact very openly. Another difference, what I would say, another difference that I would say is, sorry, I'm gonna just tell my mom that I'm in a meeting because she does not know. I'm sorry. It's funny. Just Indian mom things. This is the difference. I had nobody to like poke me in the house. Yeah, that. No, but funny. The other difference that I felt was I was more comfortable to be in any clothing that I wanted to wear. I could just be me and experiment a lot with my attire, which sometimes I find that I have to make myself a bit reserved when I'm in India. That's that. Similarity, food. You got tons of food everywhere to the point where one of my friends on my birthday asked me that, oh, you want to go for a dinner, right? Like, I'm like, yeah. Like, where should we go? And he's like a local London native. And he was like, oh, have you heard of this place called Disham? It is like marvelous Indian food. And I just gave him the look. I'm like, are you telling me on my birthday, you're going to take me to an Indian place and make me spend pounds? on what I make at home. So food, definitely. The food scene is quite global, and I love that. There's so many options. So that's that. I'm gonna check onto the other question. Could you? I will go back to the screen. Yeah, I'll go back to the
Well,
screen and tell
you
you
have
all.
a couple questions from
Yeah, wait, I'm just checking the questions. Yeah. How do you navigate safety with overnight travel as a solo female traveler? I felt honestly quite safe traveling in the UK. I made sure to keep my friends in the loop, definitely. They always knew where I'm going. So that was my first to do. I would inform them this is my trip. I would send them tickets, and I would just make sure that I would tell them I've reached, I'm going. Apart from that, I would just be highly aware of the crowd. Basic things, you just like look at people and understand their body language. And if you've been assorted a seat, but if you see someone who's shady, don't sit on the assorted seat and just go and walk up to the other seat and sit there. Though I found it very safe. There are these times where you would come across drunk boys a lot on the train, but I don't think they ever hindered me because I would just walk up and change my seat, or I would just make sure I would get seated next to someone who is also traveling alone but is a female. Like, the little quirks, you just gotta like get in the sisterhood there, the unspoken sisterhood vibe going on. So that was that. Anything else? No, I think that's pretty much it. And you just walk with confidence. You just walk around with do not mess with me vibe. Because when you put on that persona for yourself, people usually don't mess with you. That's my experience. So I always walk out with that confidence of not today, not me. And there's no space for that. You can take it in any way, but I feel like that energy, the way you carry yourself, really matters in situations like that. So that's that. Any suggestions from Northern Ireland? Oh my god. Northern Ireland. Honestly, I have no suggestions. I know this one place. I can drop it to you later. You can just message me. But Northern Ireland is something I did not explore at all. So I'm sorry, I do not have anything to tell you on that. Okay, as Talia reconnects with us, does anyone have any other questions? Drop them in the chat. If I've not answered any of your questions, please redrop them and I'll answer them back. I'm going to move to my last slide. So, okay. So the last thing, UK weather is really funny. You just need to mentally prep yourself and then approach it. It can be raining and sunny at the same time in the same place. I remember crossing a bridge in London and it was sunny. It was sun all over my face. I crossed the bridge and it was pouring. It wasn't drizzling, it was pouring. So the weather out in UK is quite unpredictable. So just be flexible, carry a coat, a cover up at all the time. You never know when it's gonna get chilly. Even the summertime, the early summertime got chilly for me in the evening. So carry a coat, always helpful. Like I said, research multiple saver options for public transport. Every place, every region has a public transport system as well. So if you look at places like Lake District, I think I'm answering somebody's question with this as well. If you look at Lake District or Cornwall, they have their own regional bus, government or private touring buses, which give you options of one ticket or a weekly ticket. And if you're staying in a location for so long, if you don't have a car, I think you can make use of that. That's what I had planned to do, but I did not end up going in those far-fetched locations. But I did a lot of research, so you can connect with me and I can guide you towards that after the presentation. London etiquette, if you're in London, you're traveling in the public transport system, stand on the right and walk on the left. It took me a while to get used to, but it's very important. People are already cold-faced. You don't want to give them one more excuse to bitch at you. Mm-mm. yeah, like I said, people can be a bit cold. Just understand the body language and approach carefully, politely, and just
Can
take
you
it from
all
there.
let me know in the chat if you're able to hear me? I'm having difficulty hearing Dimple. I'm trying to reconnect with her to see if we can get her back.
You guys are with me, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I can see Matthew. Thank you. I can see your face nodding. That's great. Talia, I think it's me.
I'm starting a reconnection with Dimple so we can get some of her questions answered. Dimple, can you hear me?
Talia, we can hear you, but it's breaking up. Okay, I'll continue with the last few tips. The place has a lot of free activities, especially if you're visiting London. You'll get a lot of free museum activities, gigs that are free. So make use of that. There are theater tickets that go really down. You can get a lot of student concessions. Yeah, so like there are things to like go about. There are these sites which will help you figure out and navigate these free, cheap, discounted gigs. Bring a UK adapter. It's very different. I forgot for the first time and I was crying on my head sitting at the airport because my phone was dying. And I was like, the thing I missed out while planning this trip. Such a little thing. So make sure you have a UK adapter. Keep cash handy because if you go a little bit remote and rural, they don't always accept cards. Even some Airbnbs will ask you to pay on cash. So keep cash handy and have the card, but keep it handy. Like I said before, the Scots had me laughing and judging my own sense of English. So get aware of the dialects and accent a bit more. You'll come across all sorts of English speaking people, and because I lived there for so long, I could like towards the end make out like, oh, you're from Manny, aren't you? Or like, oh, you're from like Leeds or London, and then somebody will speak in a bit of a Scottish dialect, and I was like, ah, you're from up north or you're from Welsh. So just get used to it. Maybe like listen to a few audios or like watch a few clips because it definitely helps mingle into the crowd and not getting shot in the face and being like, what are you talking to me? So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna check the chat. Okay, so Talia, are you back with us? Yeah.
I don't know. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're
Can you
back.
guys hear me?
Yes.
I don't know what happened. Something was lost on my end, maybe. So I'm sad to have missed a little bit of that.
No worries. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I don't think there are any more questions. If there are, we like you can still like reach out later. Yeah, you can take over,
Do you
Talia.
have just a few minutes? Do you have just a few minutes? I did have a couple questions that were privately sent to me. I'm not sure if you got to answer them yet.
Okay.
Do you have just a few minutes to stay a little bit longer?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I know that you had mentioned getting some really good deals last minute, and being able to find some good deals on transportation specifically. But how long, I don't know if that's sort of a luck thing, but do you have a recommendation for how far in advance people should be looking for transportation into other cities?
So one, it was a luck thing. Two, I kind of understood like when it works, which is why I said the 24-hour window really works out. So I was in Manchester once and I missed my train, but I kept checking, just for because curious kid, kept checking what the prices looked for the next train and the next train and the next train after that. And what I realized is that the closer the train time would be, the cheaper the tickets would get if they had empty seats. So if the train is not booked closer to the time, you can find the tickets getting cheaper. And that's when you book it. And then you're like, oh, I saved this much money because I waited. Doesn't always work if you have to be somewhere on a planned time. So if you're flexible, you can try that. Sometimes it doesn't change, it stays the same. But what I saw that it changes a bit. So that's that. Yeah, I think the 24-hour window is mainly what did the trick for me. Yeah.
And do you find that for trains and buses or specifically just trains?
I saw that mainly with trains. Yeah, mainly with trains.
Okay. And you did share a lot of hidden gems for us. I think a couple people wanted to see this slide again about other places to visit. But I was also just wondering, since you stumbled across so many awesome places, do you have any recommendations for other ways to find hidden gems besides, speaking with locals?
It's a hard one. I mean, I like to research a lot, so I just research a lot. That's how I find these places. And then I speak to locals and they tell me like you should go here and there. What else is that? I mean, if you go on Instagram, everyone's talking every place like a hidden gem, but it's not the truth. So, yeah, I would say just research. Just read up blogs of different people because like I said, I mentioned a few very famous places, but there are some other places that even the locals are not very aware about. So I would say like read up some blogs or speak to creators or travelers have been there. They will be able to guide you much more in terms of finding these hidden gems because I'm sure if you really travel and explore, you're one of those people, you will not stick to the map and the schedule. If you are one of those who will explore, you'll find out places just by that, and then you can let that know to other people. So yeah, I don't know if that helps.
Sure.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that speaking to locals, I've probably found some of the greatest hidden gems, I'd say. And now you mentioned couch surfing a little bit. First of all, that houseboat looked amazing. But do you have any tips or recommendations for people, but also females, for filtering out couch surfing and how to feel safe when choosing accommodations that aren't your typical standard?
Um. Okay, I really read up their profiles a lot, and I make sure that what they write is matching with the reviews that they have on their profile. And then I look up pictures if they have put pictures. Because if you're dealing with a legit couch surfer, they will have a lot of information that will make you feel secure to approach them. Because people understand that it's such a trust thing that you need to make each other feel secure. So even as a person approaching the person, you want to come in the best foot forward and keep it honest. And that's why it works when it works, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But yeah, I read up a lot, I communicate with them, I message them, just get a vibe of if what they have written matches up to in conversation with them. So I like to be aware of how they're responding to me, and then I kind of like, if they have other like websites or other areas of social media presence, I like to go and like kind of check those. I like ask them and I check that out, just to gauge, just to vibe it out. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. But if you ever feel like it's some place, some person is not giving you the same vibe you got on online, you can just ditch that, and it's like better be safe than sorry kind of a situation. So just figure out another way to go about it, find another friend, or just hook up at the hostel for that night. Yeah, that's that.
Um, and someone asked, just amongst your research, do you have any specific bloggers that you recommend, or are you more so just looking destination specific, like any particular website or person that you tend to follow for UK travel?
There are a few. There is this, oh my God, I forgot her name. I forgot her name, but her Instagram is called she.travels. I really look up to her bath content. Like I just literally messaged her yesterday. She's did this other creator called Courtney. She's known as She Travels the World or She Traveled the World, something like that. She posts a lot of things about the entire world, but a lot of good tips about UK because she's also a UK person. Who else? I have a friend who's a great food critic in Leeds, so I check out her stuff. Every time I went out in Leeds, I made sure I check out her stuff, her page, because it's like filled with honest reviews. Yeah, I can't remember anyone, but you can ping me and I'll like send a few profiles to you, whoever that person was. Yeah. Have we lost her again? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Um, Interesting. Anyone wants to like ask anything, please unmute yourself and ask. Yeah, if you want to like say hi or like if you know what, actually, I've been speaking a lot. So do you all want to tell me how this information has hit for you right now? Because it was a lot. So if anyone wants to unmute themselves and tell me how they vibed with the entire presentation, I would love to know. So go for it. Y'all can't be that shy. No one?
Hi. No, I'll go. Hi, I'm Tammy Tuppa. Nice to meet you.
Hi. I love the hair color, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. I am studying abroad in Manchester. I've been living here for a year, and I really enjoyed your presentation. Honestly, me even coming here for the first time, I felt like I related a lot to what you were saying and how the slow travel, finding affordable ways to live, and you gave me great tips on other places that I never thought to check out. Um, I was actually wondering how you balance like your passions like dance with traveling, because things like, I guess dance, I don't see it as more of a travel sport. So it's really interesting that you have both of those together.
So it's interesting. I get that. I think like people perceive that I do it so well all the time because my friends out here, they're like, oh my God, you're living the life. And I'm like, nope, it's not that easy. But I had to like divide my time. And luckily for me, my partner was also based in the dance industry. So I got like acquainted more easily in that sense. So I did not have to divide times 10 times, you know. Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry. This is what happens when you live at home with your parents. No regrets on that. Saves a lot of money. But continuing to what we were saying, I had to like divide time. So I made sure that the trip where I said was in a lockdown, I took time to explore the outskirts. But my third trip, what I did was I spent time staying in Leeds and London mainly so that I could explore those cities and at the same time stay connected to the dance scene out there because these were. Hi. So I think due to some network glitches and whatnot, the meeting was abruptly ended. I got kind of locked out of the entire scenario. So I just wanted to apologize, and me and TNN apologize for the inconvenience caused by it. But I hope you all got a lot out of it. And if y'all have any other questions or anything, you can always reach out to me on my email, or you can drop down in my DMs on my Instagram. More than happy to connect. Or you can also find me on the Nomadic Networks community page. So yeah, you can always connect up with me. If there are any more questions, do feel free to connect up. Secondly, I'm gonna send you a little nice gift so that the wave and air of the UK travel stays with you for a longer duration. So enjoy that. And thirdly, I just wanted to say, because it just abruptly ended, I could not introduce you to something special that I'm dropping soon. So I'm quite the planner. If some of the questions, if you really heard the way I answered it, I'm quite the planner. So I do a lot of research and whatnot. And recently I published a free guide on my Thatch shop, which is mainly about India. So it's about 6 places to travel in India. And I've just launched my Kerala guide, which is a state in India. But I know UK is massive, and with the amount of information I gave you, it just felt like there's so much more I can tell you about it. So I'm going to be launching a UK travel guide and itinerary for you all very soon. But before we do that, I would love to know if you are interested. So if you are interested, you can sign up at the pre-order waitlist link, which will send you along with this email. So you can click on that and you'll get a special code as well. And you can use that whenever the guide comes out. You can use that and it will be discounted for y'all because y'all are the first people to know about it. So yeah, so that's happening. And the guide will consist of all the information, of course, that you saw in the slides. It will be more in-depth. I'll give you more specifics to places, routes to go about, things to do. It will also have a downloadable map so that you can just save this into your Google Maps and enjoy all these nooks and corners and special places, famous places. I mean, yeah, everywhere I went, everything I researched, it will all have that. It will have a bunch of itineraries, all the itineraries that I went to, with suggestions to improve them as well. Because when you go once, you also learn how you could have done the trip better. So yeah, a lot of these things will be included in the itinerary. So if you're in for it, let me know. Go down, type yourself into the Google form. The link will be sent with the email, and await for its launch, because this one's going to be a massive one. It's going to take me a minute to build, but it's been on my radar for a long time, and it's long overdue. So yeah, it would, and I know it's going to be helpful, because if you check out my Kerala guide, such a savior. It's a savior for anyone who wants to travel to Kerala. So even if you travel to India, you can take this guide and you can say, you can buy that. Yeah. But if you're just interested about India as well, you can also check our last TNN seminar. It's there in my link in bio on Instagram. So you can reach out into that and see that seminar if you're interested in traveling to India. And then you can just peek into the Thatch-free guide to know where in India could you go, just to get an understanding according to your travel aesthetic. So all that being said, you will have a few things coming your way in the email. One of them is this video. And again, appreciate y'all being there. Appreciate y'all giving your time and energy and taking notes. I saw a lot of people taking notes, which was really nice to know that, you're pouring into the community and the community is receiving at the same end. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. Apologize again for the inconvenience towards the end. So thank you. Appreciate your patience. And hopefully I'll bump into you in my DMs or your DMs or at another TNN event. Yeah. But do get in touch with me. I love meeting new people. I love talking with new people. And you never know when we end up meeting or taking a trip together in real life. If you all know Mia and Candice, who are also part of TNN, these guys came down to India last year and they were like, we're coming down. You want to travel with us a bit? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Sorry. And we ended up taking the trip to Kerala, the guide that I was talking about. And it was fun. A bit hectic, but it was so fun. Traveling with people for the first time in real life, people you've never met. So you never know. So hey ho, just introduce yourself, connect up with me. And yeah, just travel, keep your minds open, keep your hearts open, and just go after it. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and I think y'all will also get a recording. So enjoy that. Lots of love. This is my end note, and see y'all soon.